Hello Biblionauts, this is an improvised video as opposed to all my other epically edited and produced content on the channel. I just wanted to sort of like give you some update about everything, really. Like, I've spent this whole year very absent compared to the year before that, and I think I'm gonna keep it that way. And I think it would be, like, definitely good for you to know, since we've been having this not unilateral at all relationship. I'm actually very surprised of like how this community is so actually a community, so actually exactly not what you would expect on inside this artifact. Regardless of that, I am gonna keep it that way. I have a Spanish channel. I don't know, I think you do know about that already. I've talked a lot about it before. And in that channel I only make videos in the months of December and January. And I think I'm gonna do something similar here, giving myself sort of like the freedom to, whenever I want, improvise something. But my lack of regularity will remain so in a way you can expect me to be reliable in my unreliability. And yeah, I say this, like, if this is not okay with any of you, of course, unsubscribe or anything like that. I just have realized that like there is so much more for me to gain just by keeping myself far from this device and from the dynamics that inevitably arise when one presents himself consistently in front of this big other that is sort of like this window into a world that is completely, that as an individual we're completely incapable of sort of like discerning. Like, the extent of the reach of this bidimensional binary world is far beyond our understanding, and the implications that that has on our psyche also are. But I don't want to bring you back to all the conversations and topics that we have touched so many times on the channel. I just wanted to sort of like talk to you a little bit about what has been my 2024, one of these yearly wrap-up videos. It has to be very brief because, as you know, I do have a limited memory if this video cuts, and I have already made a reasonable amount of explanations about everything that I have to say. Then I might just make it in 2 videos instead of like deleting it and having to try to record again, because I'm incredibly lazy for all of that. I don't have any pretensions of growth, financial or social growth with this platform or anything to do with really social media. So I'm not like super, I don't really care for making a super polished video that lasts 10 minutes and that targets audiences or anything like that. If you're here for the same reason that I am, which is that, like, you just want to be. And that's it. I don't need any more than that. So yeah, if I have to make it into the 10 2-minute videos that are completely incohesive without the first one, well, you already know that I'm pretty much like cybernetically illiterate. So you will probably find your way to the first video. I'll number them if that is the case. Otherwise, let's not waste time, just in case I actually have time to sort of like talk a little bit before the memory of my phone collapses. I think, as you know, I sort of like left. I was diving during the summer. Before that, I was finishing my degree of drama and philosophy, and I don't know, I did a bunch of things in between. I was doing sailing and some like mountain stuff, like climbing and stuff like that as well. But mainly I was sort of like returning to my previous profession after 4 years of absence, of just simply dedicating myself to the academia or whatever you want to call that. I've returned to my industry, which is the underwater world. I am a diver, I'm changing a little bit my relationship to that job as well, and what I'm gonna be doing with it. I am a little bit tired of guiding people underwater, like doing recreational diving. It tires me mainly because I I find it incredible and very frustrating when I bring people underwater consistently, and I see that they bring to a completely and entirely new ecosystem that they have never had the capacity to experience, and they bring the same mindset that they have when they're outside of the water, and they expect that the elements will bend to their will and their silly desires. Uh, in a sense, I think I am just like this perhaps doesn't make any sense out of context, but what I'm trying to say is that I don't think everybody deserves to see the beauty of the world when the only relationship that they have toward it is one of extraction. And it annoys me to have to provide a service for people to whom I don't believe that they deserve to have that access. But that's very abstract when I am actually thinking of very concrete examples in my mind. But I don't want to evoke them. I think if you understand, you understand, and if you don't, that's okay. So yeah, that's something that's been going on. I've been diving, and I am also gonna be diving in the future, but I'm gonna be doing something different, a different type of profession underwater. I'll talk more about that if I ever return from this after this video. Which I want that to be the norm from now on, like rather than feel like I have some sort of expectation from your side or anything like that. I want to set it now as like a premise to whatever argument I can make to remain, that at any point I can just like not make more videos, and that's okay. So like this, I don't feel sort of like any sense of accountability that I was sort of like trying to keep away from the beginning. So yeah, that's probably the least relevant thing actually about my year. I think the most relevant is that I have said many times in this channel that I used to write a lot. Between the ages of 12 years old and 19, I wrote every day for several hours. I had thousands and thousands of pages of poetry, especially. And at some point, when I was like 19, something like that, I found myself reading what I had been writing for the last few years and disliking it a lot, disagreeing and not even liking the method, especially not liking the methodology that was backing my writing, and that led me to stop writing, make almost like a literary vow of silence for a few years. It would be hard to express how hard that was for me. Writing was second nature, but I felt like perhaps I needed to listen more before speaking. Perhaps I needed to read more before continuing to write. Perhaps I just needed to take a pause and like gather some more experience before I returned to the page. And that was incredibly hard, as I said before. I've always considered myself a writer before anything else. And I am now back in the same place where I made that sort of like vow of silence, that decision to stop writing consistently, to stop presenting myself as a writer, etc., etc., etc. And there is an island, a volcano, that is in the Canary Islands, and it's also near the place where I was born. And it was the place to which I left when I began my long trip, my decade outside of Spain. Outside of Spain. This was the first place where I stopped, and it's also the place to which I have returned after so long. And I don't know. Like, I don't know, like to which degree the symmetry of this cycle of having appeared here again has had something to do with it or not. But I have begun writing again, and it's no small thing. For the last year, I feel like I've been slowly writing more and more and more. Like, I'd even say like a year and a half ago, I began writing, but I was in England and I was writing in English. And although I am relatively confident about my skills, especially in writing in English, and especially when it's not literary, I didn't know how crippled I was. Because arriving here, I was convinced by a local writer who's a friend of mine and who she's probably like the most important writer on the archipelago, or at least like the most consolidated. And I know her from a long time ago because I used to have here a poetry club or something like that. And she encouraged me to write a long poem for a contest. I've never participated in a contest or anything like that, but I kind of like I think I just needed the encouragement more than anything else. Also, the deadline helped a lot. But I wrote a long poem basically in Spanish, and I realized I saw myself doing things with language that I had forgotten I could. I had forgotten that I had that capacity to do so much with language. It felt amazing. Since then, I've been returning to reading in Spanish, and just reconnecting with the language that I love so much and that I have not used for so long. And also returning here in probably the most important place in the world for me, a place with which I had no connection at all before I arrived here. It was a strange land when I arrived, and it became my home in a single year. And I've spent 7 years away from this place, and I return, and it feels the same way. I don't know why, but it is one of those few places that, for somebody like me who lives in perpetual self-induced exile, having that sensation, that feeling is very valuable and very rare. And I don't know if that had something to do on this spark, but the fact is that I wrote this long poem, and it's the best thing I've ever written, by far. It's everything that I wanted it to be. And then I wrote a long essay, very retrospective, very personal, not academic at all. And after that I wrote another one, and then another one, and then I started writing a short story that kept expanding. It was going to be a single page, and then it became a novella. And now I've written 100 pages, and I have another 100 pages written on a different document, which is sort of like the beginning and the end. And it's like I'm putting all the pieces together, and it looks like it might become my first novel. And that is happening. Like, that is right now, like, there's a lot of things happening in my life because I make sure that to do things with my time. But there is nothing to me more important than what I am doing right now, and that is writing. So I'm gonna give priority to that, and for as long as I have any grasp on this, for as long as I can sit down and write in the way that I am doing now, I'm gonna keep doing that. I've been doing that. Right now it's approximately 2 months that I've been writing a minimum of 4 hours a day, and that is really a minimum, like the bare minimum, and I can't get enough of it, honestly. And it feels incredible. Like, writing the poem was incredible. It genuinely changed my life in a way, because I had been living with this kind of like spine on the back of my tongue, like a feeling of like, I'm very aware of my mortality and everything, and living knowing that you have never written something that you value at all when writing is almost everything that you value in terms of like what you can do, it's annoying for many years, especially being so committed to the craft as I am actually. And suddenly, like, being able to create that, wow, it's just like, it's like getting rid of a weight that I didn't even know I was carrying. And now, like this other thing that I'm creating that I don't even know what it is, like, it's just coming out of me, like, it's completely beyond my understanding how it's just coming out. And it's big, and it's gonna take me a long time to finish it, even if I keep this pace. But even after this pace, I'll have to stop a few months and edit, and then stop and edit again. So yeah, as I said, this is my thing. And if I am not making videos normally, it's for good reason. A long time ago I wrote a poem that said something like, it was a poem I wrote during the period of time where I was not writing. And the poem was about how not spending a life writing was a success, because it meant that instead of witnessing and giving my testimony of, instead of giving my testimony of beauty in the world, or of my experience, I was witnessing it. And I no longer agree with it. I think that I, for whatever reason, I'm one of those people who derive so much more from giving testimony, and it in no way does it diminish the joy of also witnessing. So yeah, I know I have been very abstract. Forgive me, I am a ex-philosophy student. It's not like the academia did anything to me that it wasn't already. The damage was done. But yeah, I won't excuse myself. I don't have any more news. I don't have anything else to say. This is the biggest thing. And I thought you might be interested in knowing, since if you are at this point on the video, I imagine that there was something of interest to you. And if not, I'm sorry, it made you waste your time. Have a nice day or evening or whatever, and I hope you have a good year. And perhaps I see you tomorrow, or perhaps I see you in 2026. Thank you, Buktuf. I'll see you on the other side.